Hello guys, welcome to another JavaScript lesson for beginners. In this lesson we are going to learn about conditionals in JavaScript. First, what are conditionals? Conditionals are used to make decisions in your code, right? For example, let's say you want to check if the user is eligible to drive depending on their age. You can check something like if the user age is greater than 18, for example, then the user can drive. Otherwise, the user is not eligible to drive. That kind of thing. So we use conditionals to check if certain conditions are met, right? We are going to look at different ways we can make use of conditionals in JavaScript, or the different variants basically. So let's get into it. The first conditional we're going to look at is a simple if statement, right? If statement. So it is actually simple. Let's say we have let user be equal to this object age 17. We learned about objects under data types, right? So that is a user object. Now what I want to do is to check if user is of certain age, right? Let's say if the user is less than 18 or less than 16, the user should not drive. If however the user is above 16 years of age, the user can drive. So with if statement we can basically say if user.age is greater than 16, what does that mean? It means the user can drive, right? So let's basically say console.log you can drive. That is a simple if statement. So the way it is that you write this if inside the parentheses. Parentheses is where you have the condition, right? What you want to check. This greater than symbol is comparison with we learned about comparison operators in the previous lesson. So this is checking whether user age is greater than 16. If that condition is met, it means the user can drive. Simple and straightforward. So that is for if statement, but what about the reverse of it, like if the user is not qualified to drive? So that brings us to the next one, if else statement. By the way, let me just save and run what we have currently. Save, right click, run. So it says you can drive, but let me change the age to say 12-year-old. Save and run one more time. We don't get anything because this condition is not met, so anything inside here will not run because the condition is not met. I mean 12 is not greater than 16. By the way, this should be greater than or equal to, but I'm sure you got the point. So the next thing is, in the case where the user is not of age to drive, we want to at least say something like you are not of age to drive, right? That brings us to if else statement. So I'm going to do something similar. If user.age is greater than, and let's just say greater than 15, because we said 16 they can drive, so greater than 15 means they are 16, right? So I'll just copy and paste what I have here. If the user age is greater than 15, else, now this is another way you can use the if statement. Else we can say something else. You are not of age to drive. So this is if else statement. We are checking if this condition is met. Otherwise, if this condition is met, do this. Otherwise, do this. That is if statement. Now to run this, I will comment out what I have up there. Save, clear the console and run. So we have you are not of age to drive because the user age is 12. Let's change the age to 18. Clear this console, save again, and run. You can drive because the user age is actually 18. Actually, let me remove this entire stuff. Well, let me keep it there. Now we can take this even further, right? Let's talk about if else if. So I'm going to close this, if else if, something like that. So to have some space, let me actually delete this thing, and I will change this to student or score. I don't know, let's say this is an exam, right? So this is a student score, let's say 20 in an exam. So what do we want to do? We want to check what kind of remark we are going to give for the student score. For example, if score is greater than 45, we can say console.log you passed, right? That is one. Else, we have learned about if else. We say console.log you did not reach the pass mark, something a bit more friendly than saying you failed. But what if we can have something between the line? If I save this and run, we have we did not reach the pass mark because the score is 20. What if we have something else? Let's just say if the student score is greater than 70, we can say you performed so well, something like that, right? So what we can do is, before this last else, so I can say else if score is greater than 70, this should be else. What do we say? We say console.log you did great, whatever. So this is an else if, right? So what I can do at this moment is save, run the code, and we don't get anything. Let's actually make this 80, which is greater than 70. Save and run one more time. We get, oh, actually we have a little bit of issue. This first condition is met, right? And that brings us to where we can actually combine certain kind of checks, the operators. So what I want to do here is, if score is greater than 45 and score is less than or equal to 70, remember we learned about these operators, this comparison operator in the previous lesson. So this is checking is score greater than 45 and less than or equal to 70. In that case, we can say you passed, right? That is score is between that range. If, however, the score is greater than 70, we can say you did great. Save and run, you did great. I said do it. Anyway, so, and finally we can actually bring the final condition. For example, if I have something like 20 here and save this, we are not going to get anything because 20 is not within this range and neither is 20 greater than 70. In that case, we need something that runs if all the other condition fails. That is why we have this else. Without the else, if I save and run, you notice that we don't get anything because none of these else and if else conditions were met, right? So the else condition will run if none of the other conditions above are met. So here we can say console.log, we can just put anything here, no comment, something like that. I will save, clear the console, run this, no comment. So this is if else, if I can actually say with else, right? But that's not too important. Okay, how else can we use the if statement? We can actually have if statement inside another if statement. Let me show you this with an example. Let's say, let's go back to age, right? Let's say the age is 16. Now what we want to do is to have an if statement inside an if statement. How we can do something like that. So for example, we can say if age is greater than or equal to 16. Come on, why am I having if inside there? Then we know that this person can drive, right? Otherwise we say console.log you are not of age to drive. So this person can drive. Now the next thing we want to do is to check certain speed limit depending on the kind of road, whether it is residential, street, or highway. So we can say something like let's road to be equal to residential. So road can be residential or highway, for example. Then we want to check the speed limit the person can go. So if road is equal to highway, we say you can go console.log speed limit to be, let's say, 75 miles per hour. Else we can say console.log speed limit to be I don't know, 30 miles per hour, something like that. So this is an if statement inside another if statement. You can actually nest it further, but that might look messy. So oftentimes you don't want to have so many nested if statements. But this is just a demonstration that we can have if statement inside another if statement. If I save and run this, we see speed limit to be 30 miles per hour because the road is residential according to this. If however I change this to highway and save, clear the console, run, come on, run, we see that the speed limit is 75 miles per hour. Okay, that's about it for if statement. Now we look at another conditional statement, the switch statement, switch. So this actually is similar to the way if statement works, right? But oftentimes you see if statement used when the lines of code to be written for each of the cases is kind of lengthy. But for simple cases, right, where you have to write just simple lines of code for each of the cases, we oftentimes use the switch statement. So let's just see some examples. We can say let day number be equal to 2. So these are the numbers for day of weeks, right? For example, Sunday is 1, Monday is 2, something like that. Saturday is 7. Now what you want to do is to check day number and print the corresponding day. So for example, if someone says the day number is 1, we print Sunday. If it is let's say 2, we print, that should be Monday, right? So the syntax is simple, switch, and then what are we checking? Day number. This is the thing we want to check. Inside this curly braces, what we are going to do is to have what we call cases. Case, if it is 1, I'll quickly do one case, then explain one more time. Can do console. Come on, what am I typing? Console.log, we say it is Sunday. Let me change this to 1 so we match that condition. So what is going on here is, this is the thing we want to check, and then these are the different cases. It can be 1, it can be 2, it can be 3, up to 7. That is for the 7 days in a week. If I save and run this, we get Sunday, because that matches the case. But what if this is 2? Clear the console, save, run. We don't get anything. Now I will go ahead to add the other cases, that is for other number of days. But before adding another case, always use what we call break statement, right? Let me actually copy and paste this for another case. So let's say the case is 2. What happens is that if you don't put the break, the code will continue running through all the other cases, right? And sometimes you might get that strange behavior. That is why for each case, you write whatever the codes you want to write here. When you are done, you make sure you say break, then you write for the next case. So I will save this and run. We still get Sunday because we have not changed the day. If I change it, however, to 2, then we get Sunday. That should be Monday actually, for 2. Clear the console, save, run one more time, so we get Monday. Now I can repeat this for the other days. So I've basically added all the days of the week here, from Sunday to Saturday. So we can test. Let's say the case is 6. What do we get for 6? So for 6 we get Friday, correct, because we have Friday here. What if the user, for example, imputes something that is not correct? For example, 1, 2, 3. If I save and run, what do we get? We don't get anything, because 1, 2, 3 is invalid for number of days in a week, right? That brings us to the next item we can have here, the default case. So the default, written like this, is the line of code, the part of the code that runs if none of the conditions is met, right? So we can say console.log invalid day number. So if none of the conditions are met, the default case will run. This is the syntax, the way you write it. With 1, 2, 3, let's save and run again. Clear the console, run. Now we see invalid day number. Let me show you another thing about the switch statement. You can actually combine cases so that the same codes are run for multiple cases. Let me show you in a moment what I mean. I will change this to say 6. So what we want to do is to check if it's a weekend, right? So let's say that the weekend is for Saturday and Sunday. What we can actually do is let me cut the case for Sunday, bring it down here so that they are together. What I want to do is, Saturday or Sunday is weekend, right? Remember that case 1 is for Sunday and the case 7 is for Saturday. So we can say it is weekend. So this is for Saturday and Sunday. See how we are combining the two cases, right? So you can actually combine multiple cases like that in your switch statement. But what we're adding is only 1 and 7, those cases. Now let's try this out. If I select 6, of course that is not weekend according to our definition. So if I save and run, we get a Friday. But if it is 1 or 7, we get weekend. Save, run, it is weekend. Okay, what about 7? It's still going to be weekend. Clear the console, run, it is weekend. So you can actually combine these. Okay guys, that is for switch. Now let's look at another one. The next conditional we are going to look at is the ternary operator. So, you know the case where we have something like let age be equal to 15, and we said something like if age is greater than or equal to 16, you can drive. You can drive, and then we said else console.log you are not of age to drive, right? This is if else statement. We can actually use what is called ternary operator to get something similar to if else statement. So the ternary operator is like this. We check a condition. If the condition is met, we put the question mark. We say do this, we put this colon. That is like saying else, do that. So a condition, we put question mark. If that condition is met, do this. Then we must put this colon here, otherwise do that. Let's see that in action. So what we are actually going to do is age greater than or equal to 16, just like we have for the if statement. We put the question mark. We say go ahead, drive. We put a colon. No, do not try that. So that the message is different from what we have for if statement. What I will actually do is to assign this to a variable. Let should I call it verdict, whatever. So this is actually the ternary operator. What I'm doing is just storing whatever that has to run or whatever that is returned inside the variable verdict. Now we can just do console.log verdict, right? We save, go ahead to run this. Say no, do not try that, because the age is not greater than or equal to 16. If however we have, let's say 50, save, run, so we get go ahead, drive, right? That is the ternary operator. So guys, so far so good. Please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. So we have looked at the different types of conditionals in JavaScript, the if statement with all the variations like the if else and the nested conditionals. We also looked at switch statement and the ternary operator. And that brings us to the end of the lesson. I hope it made sense. Until next time, happy coding.